So, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Vishweshwani. This is Sanat Kumar, who is the president of today's Vandana session. So, I request everyone to raise for the prayer song. इतनी शक्ति हमें दे न दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना। इतनी शक्ति हमें दे न दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। दूर अज्ञान को हो अंधेरे, तू हमें ज्ञान की रोशनी दे। हर बुराई से बचते रहे हम, जितनी भी दे भली जिंदगी दे। बैर होना किसी का किसी से, भावना मन में बदले की होना। हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना। इतनी शक्ति हमें दे न दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। हम न सोचे हमें क्या मिला है, हम यहाँ सोचे किया क्या है हर पल। फूल खुशियों की बांटे सभी को, सबका जीवन ही बन जाए मधुबन। अपनी करुणा का जल तू बहा के, कर दे पावन हर मन के कोना। हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना। इतनी शक्ति हमें दे न दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। थैंक यू। Next slide. Technique. Okay. So today thought for the day. As Winston Churchill said, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. I repeat, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Thank you. Now I invite Mr. Shivashank to present the international business news. Varun Raj.
Good morning, everyone. I am Varun Raj. Today I am here to present the international business news. Tesla shares dropped by 12% in a single day on Thursday, winning out $109 billion of its valuation. The sharp drop in sales came on back of Tesla announcing its fourth quarter earnings. Tesla CEO Elon Musk a day earlier had underlined the focus on a humanoid robot called Optimus, while confirming that there would be no new electrical vehicle product from Tesla this year. He would also confirm that the much awaited but most delayed Cybertruck would also not hit production lines in 2022. Next slide, please. Warren Buffett overtakes Mark Zuckerberg as value stocks beat tech stocks. Buffett's net worth has risen $2.4 billion this year to $111.3 billion. He now tops Zuckerberg by $1 billion and is at his highest ranking on the Bloomberg index since last March. Value stocks, the bedrock of Buffett's investing philosophy and focus of his Berkshire Hathaway, have outperformed tech firms. The S&P 500 index since the start of the year, declining 4.2% compared with a 9.2% drop for the S&P and 15% for tech. Google to invest up to $1 billion in a partnership with Airtel. Bharti Airtel and Google on Friday, January 20th, 2022 said that they will partner on a long-term multi-year agreement to accelerate the growth of India's digital ecosystem, under which Google intends to invest up to $1 billion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Varun Raj. Now I invite Mr. Shivshashank to present the national business news.
Good morning, everyone. Next slide, please. FIR against Amazon seller for printing national symbol on product. An FIR has been registered against sellers on Amazon for printing national symbol on shoes, mugs, and t-shirts. Notices are being sent to the company, said Bhopal Police Commissioner Makaranda Deskar on Tuesday. Bhopal Crime Branch has registered an FIR under Section 2 of the Prevention of Insult to National Honor Act and Section 505, Subsection 2 of the Indian Penal Code. The action came from State Home Minister Narottam Mishra on Tuesday, told media person that Director DGP to register an FIR against official of Amazon on and its owner for alleged selling products with image on imprinting of the tricolor on them. Next slide, please. Google invests 7,400 crores in Airtel, takes 1.28% ownership. Telecom major Bharti Airtel on Friday announced that internet gained Google plan to invest up to $1 billion in a multi-year agreement to push India's digital ecosystem. Airtel is a regulatory filing said. As part of the partnership, Google intended to invest up to $1 billion, means around 7,400 crores over the next 5 years. Deal includes investment of $7,000 million to acquire 1.828% ownership in Airtel at a price per share of 734 rupees and up to $300 million towards potential multi-year commercial agreement, Airtel stated. Next slide, please. India's largest EV charging stations opened at National Highway in Gurugram. India's largest electric vehicles charging station with a capacity of 100 charging points for four-wheelers was opened on Friday at Delhi Jaipur National Highway in Gurugram. Previously, India's largest EV charging stations was situated in Navi Mumbai with 16 AC and 4 DC charging ports for EVs. This station is now open with 96 chargers for technical inspection for various certifications, compliance and safety standards laid 2 weeks ago by Power Ministry Government of India, and which also opened the doors for offering government land to government or public agencies and private entity for setting up charging stations on a revenue sharing basis. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the news, Mr. Shivshashank. Now I invite Mr. G. Shivashankar to present contemporary news.
Thank you, Sanat. I am G. Shivashankar. I am going to present contemporary news. India daily COVID top rolls 600. Maharashtra on Friday, Maharashtra recorded more than 100 and Kerala was recorded 90 as daily fatalities from the virus, and that day India crosses 600 for the first time during the current wave of pandemic. And this has happened in the last year, August, which has crossed 602. So the Drug Controller General of India gave approval to Bharat biotech to conduct phase 3 trials for its intranational vaccine. So the international vaccine cost less than the vaccine with syringes. So it helps to vaccinate the more people. According to a report, 75% of the Indian population are vaccinated. So if the national vaccine, nasal vaccine comes, it will be more helpful to India to vaccinate all the population. Next slide, please. Sanat. Now India will be a missile exploiter. India on Friday linked 375 million contract to export BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles to the Philippines. So this is the first ever contract to export the 290 kilometers range BrahMos which have been developed jointly with Russia. And for this missile, US and other UK countries and Indonesia countries are also shown interest. And India exported deficiency worth 8,434.84 crores in 2022-21 completed to rupees 1,940.64 crores in 2014 to 15. Next slide, please. Sanat. The Supreme Court tells the SpiceJet to wind up its jet because the SpiceJet has a deferment case on it from SR Technicals because it has helped him to credit the census which has paid around 24 million. So now the payment leads to credit just intending the winding process against SpiceJet. So on Friday, on Madras High Court, on Friday the SpiceJet appealed the Supreme Court on winding or not to winding up, but the last month the order passed by the Supreme Court to for the winding up of its assets by the liquidator. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivashankar, for presenting the news. Now I invite Ms. Sanjana Bai to present country in focus.
Good morning. So today's country in focus is Japan. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Geography of Japan. Coordinates 36° north, 138° east. Continent Asia. Total 3,77,975.26 square kilometers. Land 87.93,099%. Water 12.06901%. Climate is tropical in the south, cool continental in the north, and the mountainous areas being subarctic. Surrounded by the Sea of Okhotsk, the Sea of Japan, the East China Sea, and the Pacific Ocean. Next slide, please. Demography. Population 12.63 crores. Growth rate -0.3%. Life expectancy 84.36 years 2019. Male 81.5 years. Female 86.9 years. Infant mortality rate 1.36 birth per woman. Age structures 0 to 14 years 12.45%. 15 to 64 years 59.15%. 64 plus years 28.4%. Next slide, please. Economy. Currency Japanese yen. Fiscal year 1st to 1st March. GDP $5.39 trillion 2021. $5.59 trillion 2021 estimated. GDP growth 2.4% 2021. GDP per capita increased by $42,928. 44.585 2021 estimated. GDP by sector: agriculture 1.1%, industry 30.1%, service 68.7%. Main industries are motor vehicles, electronic equipment, machine tools, steel, non-ferrous metals, ships, chemicals, textiles, and processed foods. Ease of doing business is 29th, very easy according to 2020. Next slide, please. Trade activities. 4.8 US dollars 2021. Export goods are only machinery and transport equipments, cars, chemicals, iron and steel products, scientific medical instruments, non-ferrous metals. Main export partners are United States with $134 billion 2021. Imports are $69.1 billion 2021. Import goods are mainly crude petroleum gas, coal briquettes, integrated circuits. Main export partners is China with $152 billion. Japan is a major economic power in the world. In November 2021, the top exports of Japan were cars. In 2019, Japan was the number 3 economy in the world in terms of GDP, the number 4 in total exports, the number 5 in total imports, an economy in terms of GDP per capita, and the number 1 most complex economy according to the Economic Complexity Index. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. History. Hiroshima had been completely destroyed by the atomic bomb, but gradually electricity, transportation, and other functions were restored. The restoration process took approximately 2 years. In September 1949, Hiroshima city announced a 5-year plans for reconstruction of its industry, which set a goal of increasing industrial production by 3.3 times its fiscal year 1948 level by fiscal year 1953, and this goal was almost achieved. The country was isolated from the early 1600s to the mid-19th century, at which point its ports opened up to the west. Japan has largely bounced back from the manufacturing disruption caused by the 2011 earthquake and tsunami disaster. Next slide, please. Interesting facts about Japan. The bow is an important form of greeting in Japan, and Japanese people work hard to perfect it. The kimono is a traditional Japanese garment worn by both men and women. The world's largest seafood market is the Tsukiji Fish Market in Tokyo. Japan boasts of having the highest density of vending machines with approximately around 5 million machines, or one machine for every 23 people. It is considered rude to wear shoes inside a house. In fact, before entering a house, you will be given a pair of slippers and asked to take off your shoes there. Animated Japanese films and television shows, that is anime, account for 60% of the world's animation based on Japanese culture. Japanese trains are among the world's most punctual. Their average delay is just 18 seconds. Square watermelons are grown by Japanese farmers for easier stack and store. In Japan, there are more pets than children. Next slide, please. Japan's birth rate is so low that adult diapers are sold more than baby diapers. The Japanese survivor of the Titanic was called a coward in his country for not dying with the other passengers. Tattoos have a bad reputation culturally in Japan. Noodles are slurped somewhat loudly when eaten. It has been said slurping indicates the food is delicious. To clean is a part of the education in many schools. The samurai or bushi were the warriors of pre-modern Japan. Fruit is one of the best gifts. Japan is famous for natural sights like cherry blossoms and Mount Fuji. Japan is famous for karaoke, comics, sumo wrestling, cool toilets, capsule hotels, tea ceremonies, and its culture. Next slide, please. India and Japan relations. Indian culture, filtered through Buddhism, has had a great impact on Japanese culture, and this is the source of the Japanese people's sense of closeness to India. Japan was the fourth largest investor for India in the financial year of 2020. Japanese private sector's interest in India is rising, and currently about 1,455 Japanese companies have branches in India. Delhi Metro is one of the most successful examples of Japanese cooperation through the utilization of ODA. The Japanese seven gods of fortune, of which four originated as Hindu deities: Benzaiten-sama, Saraswati, Bishaman, Kubera, Daikokuten, Mahakala or Shiva, and Kichijoten Lakshmi. The number of Japanese nationals residing in India: 9,239 as of October 2020. Number of Indian nationals residing in Japan: 39,764 as of December 2020. Next slide, please.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Sanjana, for presenting the wonderful information and content about Japan. Now I invite Professor R. Ashok to present faculty binder.
Sanath, is it audible?
Yes, sir. You can proceed.
Thank you. I'm sharing the screen. Can you stop others to stop the screen? Yeah, thank you. Is it audible? And please let me know when my voice is not audible.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. You can proceed. Everything is visible.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. So today I supposed to be. I had a question regarding for the last 30 years, and I'm looking for answer for this. And people even when my teacher taught that India is developed country in the social science in the 7th and 8th class, and when I studied it in here, but still some, as for your youngsters and you are the generation, still you are looking, you are a little bit confused about whether India is developed country or developing country. What you believe that now? Are you believe that India is developed country?
Developing countries.
It's
Yes.
still developing.
Still developing. But actually, when India will become a developed country, actually what the statistic is saying, okay? So, but I had I said some figures, and as per the figures, we got for surprised things are there. India is already some certain areas. India is developed, but they are in the top in the some certain areas like production, steel production, railways, infrastructure, something. Some areas we are not. Still, we are supposed to be develop it. but actually when will be complete year. But when of all this, of all the categories, if it is the India is developed, then only we call is India is a developed country. India is a 1 minute. Seven, close the door. Yeah, sorry. So we'll see for this. I'll show some, but which country we call is a developed country, that will first we'll see. Actually, the economy, first we'll see the what is the real status of the Indian economy, whether is it in standards of the developed country standard, or it is still within the developing country standards. We'll see this. The economy of India is currently the world third largest in terms of the real GDP. We know this, and actually that we are in the third largest GDP, like it is in almost okay, after the United States of America and the People's Republic China. After the America and China, we are in the third largest real GDP. Next, according to the World Bank, India overtook the China to become the fastest growing major economy in the world as of the 2015. Which numbers you know this? Actually, under this PM's Modi, Modi is started in 2017. He started for the New India campaign. The nation has successfully transformed from 11th to 6th among all the other developing nations. Actually, the list of the developing nations in this, we are in the 2017. We are in the level of the 11th position. Now it is now we are in the stand of the 6th position in the developing nations. But actually, the Nehru idea of the India crowned in this the nation as a developing country, he quoted in 50 years back. But still we are holding this, I think so. The developed economy usually have a high component of gross domestic production and comprising the industrial and service sectors. But India does have this prominent service sector, which we know. And how this India GDP is per capita is increasing. Actually, we are travel towards to the developed country. This is the actual real figure. It shows it. But really is we are on the stand, we are on travel. How much this distance is there to developing to the developed nation? So in 2012 it is in 1300 and $1,346 dollars per capita. Now almost 2019 it is having 1900 per capita. And 2020, as per this pandemic, and we are some per capita is down, and it is now almost it is in $1,800 $1,800 per capita of GDP. Just here, when you compare with the US, every time when you compare with any nation, the nation is comparing countries, comparing always with this United States. So we'll see for this what are the position where we are exactly compared with the United States. Just here, India is 2020 nominal GDP will be $2.66 trillion, and PPP adjusted GDP is almost 9 trillions, and the growth rate will be, now it is down due to for the pandemic. Previously it was having 8% growth rate was there. And even also when you compare with this per capita GDP per capita is the main important. Now we are in the $2,000. But when you're talking about this United Nations, that there are the $20 trillion economy, they have GDP, and at the same time GDP per capita will be the $63,000. So we are into this, just we are into the $2,000, they are into $63,000. This is a major gap between this developed nation and developing nation, right? Just see this, we'll see where we are exactly there in it. So just see this, what is the international ranking of India? Actually GDP growth rate, almost we are in this first position out of 132 countries, and nominal GDP will be almost we are in the 6th position. GDP we are in the 3rd largest, and per capita we are in this 145th position. Just note it here, per capita of the GDP we supposed to be improved, then the country will become a developed nation. So per capita GDP will be PPP will be this 126th position, and tax revenue is also very the worst. But import and exports and received FDI, almost we are in this top 10, and I think so it is in equal to the developed countries. Just here, when you're talking about the wealth, Number of billions, we are in the 3rd position. And gold reserves, we are in the 8th position. Public debit we are in the worst condition. And foreign exchange reserves are almost, we are reached in the top level. So when you're talking about the income and GNI nominee and PPP, almost it is in income levels. But when you're talking about here, the technology will be IT industry, we are in the 18th position. But and ICT and development index, we are in the not in the up to the mark. But global innovation index, now it is in good position. We improved almost 10 positions and improved. Now we are in the 48th position. So space competency index, we are in the 6th position. So transport and almost we are in the top level, like just here largest railway platforms and rail transport network size and traffic related deaths, it is the worst condition. And vehicles per capita will be almost 84th position. But industry, we are also in this good position, like electricity production, we are in 3rd, and steel production 3rd, and coal production 2nd, and coal consumption is 2nd. But why? And even also communication also, we are in mobile phones in use is 2nd position, and fixed broadband internet subscriptions almost 10th position. Television broadcasting is 4th position. But still, why we are almost in most of the areas, we are in the top level, top 10 position. But why still India we call is a developing nation? Just we'll see. Entertainment, we are in the 1st position, and politically we are not that much of matured. And corruption index will be 86, and press freedom index will be almost into the, we are into the worst position is the 142. Like soft power will be 24, but we don't want to go for more for it, right? Military, we are in the top level, like activity troop, total troop, and military expenditures, military strength, almost we are in the top level. So we'll see for this which areas we supposed to be improved. Just see here, when you're talking of the health, life expectancy, almost we are in this okay, not in the up to the mark, like we are in the 125th position. Infant mortality will be 113, and culture diversity 17th, like. So as per the now, we need to observe it. One will be per capita will be, we are in this almost 120th position. Life expectancy is 125, infant mortality is 113. These areas we need to improve it. And global hunger index, we are in the top level 94, and suicide rate 19th, and health expectancy per capita will be 141. And so what finally education also we
Ashok,
need to,
sir.
yeah sir, tell me sir. Sir, yeah sir, tell me sir.
There is alcohol consumption per capita.
Yeah sir.
We are at 76.
Coal consumption, sir?
No, alcohol.
Okay sir.
Alcohol.
Okay. Alcohol. Okay.
Wine, whiskey, and vodka.
Okay sir. Okay, wine. Okay. Right sir.
So we are at 76.
Yes sir.
Sorry, we are at 76. Yeah, out of 191 nations.
Yes sir. Yes sir. Alcohol consumption
So
per capita.
do you need that we have to improve on this?
Actually sir, alcohol consumption per capita will be, we are the world, we are in the worst, we are in this consumption is less per capita. We need to,
so we should improve or decrease?
Decrease sir, decrease. We are not supposed to go for the alcohol consumption for the World Health Organization.
Oh, come on, Ashok sir, but if you are measuring on per capita,
yes sir,
if our per capita increases from $2,000 to $10,000,
yes sir,
or
consumption
beyond,
has to be, yes, okay.
Consumption has to increase. Actually,
yes, but sir,
alcohol consumption is directly correlated with the wealth of a nation.
But sir, actually, as per the World Health Organization, there are some parameters as towards to the health parameters, but they are calculating that level, not for the wealth. It is in health level, health indicators. which has a health
Okay.
indicator, sir.
No, no, I understood. What I'm trying to say is
Mhm.
that these consumptions, what we are seeing, no,
Yes, sir.
cigarette consumption,
Yes, sir.
alcohol consumption, actually certain goods are
Up to the
consumed
mark.
only in developed economies.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
developed
Yes, sir.
economies.
Yes, sir. I agree for
Like
it.
for example, for
Quality
example,
wine.
wine is the dining culture of France, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think so.
So
I think so.
that's why French people look very beautiful, very smart, and I don't know. It's a cold country maybe, but I read somewhere in economics like all these items which usually consumed by people with surplus income.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Actually, this is the indicator.
Alcohol is one of that. Yeah, it's an indicator that
Yes,
you
sir.
have surplus income.
I
If
agree.
somebody is drinking
Yes, sir.
good imported, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
Go ahead,
agree.
sir. Go ahead. Very
Yes,
nice
thank you.
presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Right, sir.
Mm.
Yeah. But education, that when you're talking about the literacy rate will be almost 77 percentage, and human capital will be 103, and education index we are in the least areas, like we are in the 145th position, but they need to be we need to be improved for this. So language and other will be, it is in their culture related, I think so. But even official language, we are in the second position, and English speaking population is also one of the indicator of the developed nation. It is we are in the top level. So my
I want
concern.
to add further here. I
Yes,
want to add further here on education.
yes, sir.
India's gross enrollment ratios for higher education, I am
Yes.
talking about
Yes.
UG and PG.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They are 27% now. Currently,
Yes.
it is 27%,
27.
and government through national education policy,
Yes, sir.
they are aiming to make it 50% by 2035.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, the number is coming for the next one, sir. I'll show for you, and let me discuss for this. Right, sir. 2 minutes. Yeah, 1 minute. I think so. Yes, sir. 1 minute. Yeah. So the society will be one of those factors, sir. It is in happiness index and other planet index. We are in not in the that level. So one figure which we are supposed to be improved, that is only the human development index. This is we are in the 131st position. Most of this when this World Bank and UNI and developed nations are looking for this human development index. That's areas we need to improve. That's the reason that this key area which I observed, that's the reason today I'm presenting it. I want to show here, sir, what are the main indicators are showing for the developed nation. One will be the gross domestic production and gross nation production and GNP per capita, birth and death ratios, and the human development index, and infantile mortality rate, literacy rate, and life expectancy. These areas actually they are taking for this more indicators. These are the main indicators. They are showing it is in which country is developed and not developed. But these parameters may differ by the country to country. But obviously we are in the globalization and we supposed to accept these indicators. But as per the country, India is looking for we have our parameters are different. But we'll see for the where we are exactly. But in the life HDI, that is called Human Development Index, it is including of a life expectancy, education index, and mean years of schooling index, and expected the years of schooling index and income index. So I will show for the what are the real figures it is. Actually, sir, and India is having gross national income GNI per capita will be 6,681, and life expectancy for birth will be 69.77, and mean schooling per people aged will be 6.5 years, and HDI rank will be the 130th position. So these are indicators. So developed nation indicators I am showing it here, and human development index HDI will be top level it is a 0.957 is a Norway, and even also US will be in the 13th or 14th position, but gross domestic per capita will be GNI will be 66,000, but India have the figure, it is in 1 minute, sir. India is having this 0.645, sorry, India is having 0.645, but actually, developed nation is having the 0.95. As per this, HDI is only showing for the which country is developed, which is not developed. Vandana coordinator, I'll take the 2 minutes time to close it. And just we'll see, sir, actually, when you compare with the other nations, like 1 minute, other nations like which is the developing at the near to the South Asian countries, per capita we are in the $1800, but China is having 54,000, other countries are having 20, Korea is having 28,000, and Singapore is having 54,000, China is having 8,690. But Human Development Index, India ranked the 131th position, while China and South Korea is having, China is almost having 86, but South Korea is 22, and Singapore is 9th position. UK is having 13th position, US is having 13th position. This is the only major comparison. So if we can improve for this HDI, like when HDI is lesser than the 0.55, we call it the low human development nation. So if it is in 0.55 to the 0.69, we call it a medium human development, and 0.7 to 0.8 high human development. So India is in now the level of the India is on the 0.645. So that's the reason India is in the category of the middle income category. It is turned into the high income category from last 10 years. After the Modi has came and he is improving these, we are competitive to the world. That's the reason we are reaching these standards. So as for this year, UN Human Development Report shows this, India is in transform into the low human development to the middle human category, and this decade, and may it will one more decade it will take for a high human development category. This is my observation, sir, and maybe I wish it here as per this government has planned it here. We are almost 100 years we are finishing the Independence Day by 2047. That time may we wish this India will be a developed nation. That's actually only this my note it here, per capita and SDA has to be improved, then India we call is a developed nation. Thank you, sir. And I need for the more views on it here in the some other Vandana discussion. Maybe you can carry for this in the future, sir. May this topic will be useful for this. I did for my level best. Thank you the director and all other students. Thank you. I'll stop sharing.
Great learning, Ashok sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Right, sir.
Thank you, sir, for sharing such wonderful insights. Now I invite Dr. Bharat Bhushan Singh to initiate the discussion hour.
Am I audible? Can you confirm that?
Yes, sir, you are audible. You can proceed.
Yes, sir. You're
Wonderful. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, somebody is
Good
saying
morning, sir.
something. Okay, so today I have brought in a topic which the whole world is talking. It's about the tension which is currently rising in Eastern European areas bordering Russia. So the topic is Russia-Ukraine tension, world on the brink of war. Next slide, please. So I'm going to discuss under this is Russia-Ukraine relations. I'm going to talk about what is the historical background for the information of all my students. Because you should be aware about this important country called Ukraine, because many of Indians go there to do their studies in medical sciences and engineering area. And Russia is also one of our important friend, tested friend for quite some time. And we are going to talk about why Russia is angry on West. West means all Europe, America, and some of the other countries like Australia. And it's also angry on NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and Ukraine, which is its bordering country. And what is the Russia's demand, and what West is responding to that demand? And war and its likely fallout. So will there be a war? Most probably war will not happen. However, Russia is ratcheting up its threshold level, and then anything can happen. That is the situation as of now at the Ukrainian border along with Russia. And what is India's position, response, and way forward? So this is my discussion boundary. So let's start with point A, Russia-Ukraine relations, historical background. So next, please. So you can see Russia-Ukraine relation historical background. First, you see where Ukraine is situated. Can you go back, please? Go back to the map. Yeah. So look at it Ukraine is bordering with Belarus, and then the other side it has Hungary and Romania, and then you can see Russia, major part of its boundaries with Russia. And bottom you see there is a Black Sea, and there is one peninsula called Crimea, which was annexed by Russia in 2015. And we will see why Russia has taken over this particular area from Ukraine. And so this is the current scenario. And the fight is like Russia wants complete domination in Ukraine. It wants that Ukraine should follow what Russia says. So let's see what is the historical background, and then probably you can understand. Go ahead, please. Next. So Russia-Ukraine relations historical background. So in the year 1991, after the Soviet Union dissolution in 1990, see, earlier there were some 18 countries together. They used to be called as USSR, United State of Soviet Republic. And those nations were very loosely integrated in USSR, but in 1991 they all got dissolved and became independent countries like Lithuania, Georgia, similarly Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Ukraine. So like this, there were so many other countries. So they all got dissolution in 91, and the successor states bilateral relations have undergone period of ties, tension, and outright hostility. So after dissolution, there were some influence of Russia on all these tiny countries, and over a period of there has been some sort of tensions and hostility and fight. Early 1990s, Ukraine policy was dominated by aspirations to ensure its sovereignty and independence. It wanted to become independent. It wanted to have its own foreign policy. Whoever it wants to have trade with, it wanted to have trade with. So it wanted to chalk out a very independent policy and a foreign policy that balanced cooperation with European Union, Russia, and other powerful polities. So Ukraine wanted to have relations with all big powers like European Union, NATO, Russia, India, all over. I mean, whoever they wanted to have relations, they wanted to have relations. That is what they wanted to achieve. So relations between the two countries like Russia and Ukraine have been hostile since the Revolution of Dignity. An event happened, a Revolution of Dignity, which toppled Ukraine's elected president, Mr. Viktor Yanukovych, and his supporters, because he refused to sign a political association and free trade agreement with the EU that enjoyed majority support in Ukraine's parliament. So exactly what is this Revolution of Dignity is that majority of the people in Ukraine and Ukrainian parliamentarians, they wanted that Ukraine should sign an agreement for trade with European Union and other different powers. But the president, Mr. Viktor Yanukovych, he was a Russian stooge. So he was not following the will of the people and will of the parliament, and he was just listening to the dictates of Russian leadership, Kremlin we call it as, or Vladimir Putin's dictatorship or instruction. So what happened? He was thrown and he fled the country in 2014. Next slide, please. So after that, Ukraine's post-revolutionary government, a new government came in. It wished to commit the country to a future within the European Union and NATO, rather than continues to play the delicate diplomatic game of balancing its own economic and security interests with those of Russia, the EU and the NATO. So the new government thought like it's time to take a decision and take a call rather than doing this cat and mouse of balancing game between EU, Russia and NATO. So they put their intentions very clear that in future we would like to join NATO for our security. And they also said we will like to be in the EU bloc for our trade and economic activities. The Russian government feared that Ukraine's membership of the EU and NATO would complete a western wall of allied countries by restricting Russian access to the Black Sea. So you have seen below Crimea in Ukrainian map, there is a Black Sea. A lot of trade happens through that particular channel. And so what Russia thought, like if Ukraine joins EU bloc, then these people will create a western border on the Russian areas, and then they will not be having free access into the Black Sea, and therefore their trade with Japan and Korea and other countries will suffer because of this restriction. So that is the concern of Russians. So with South Korea and Japan being allied to the US, the Russian government was concerned that Russia was being ring-fenced by potentially hostile powers. So that is Russia's concern, that now India is with Russia, with US, South Korea is with US, Japan is with US, Australia is with US, now whole Europe is with US. Now Ukraine also, it falls into the US bloc, that is NATO bloc and European Union bloc. Then Russia will find itself in a ring. So that was its apprehension. Next, please. So in the wake of Revolution of Dignity in 2014, Russia backed separate militia in the Donetsk People of Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic. So there are two areas in Ukraine towards its east, bordering Russia. Those two areas, they had certain militia group which was supported by Russia, and it declared independent. So in a war in Ukraine's economically important Donbas region on its eastern border with Russia, this region has a Russian ethnic majority. So Russia started creating similar kind of problem what Pakistan is creating with us in Kashmir by sending militia groups and other groups in those areas. Next, please. Now the question is why Russia is angry. It has sent almost 1 lakh military personnel bordering Ukraine and into Belarus to tighten the grip on the Ukraine, and everyone is fearing that Russia will take over Ukraine anytime soon. So what made Russia to get angry on West, NATO and Ukraine? So go ahead, next slide. So Russia feels threatened due to Ukraine joining EU and taking membership of NATO. So some of you who are new to the term called NATO. So NATO is a North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It was established after World War II to protect all European countries against any threat from the outsiders. Like how we saw German. They used to attack anybody and everybody of smaller countries in Europe. So to protect their themselves and secure their country, NATO was created, and then almost 30 countries are part of this, and America is one of the leading country, and most of the European nations are part of NATO, like Germany, France, UK, and all these Hungary, Lithuania, Romania, all those countries, smaller countries, are part of NATO. So now Russia feels if Ukraine joins NATO, then it will become a part of NATO, and then NATO will become a threat to Russia, because one of the charter of NATO is like, if any smaller countries attacked by any power, then NATO feels it is an attack on all 30 countries, and then they will join together and defend. So that's how even in Iraq war, NATO was involved, and in Serbia, NATO was involved. So wherever there is an attack on even a smaller country like Finland or Estonia, these all 30 countries will join together and defend and protect that tiny countries. So that is the biggest fear of Russia, that if Ukraine joins NATO, then it gets the security blanket, and then NATO will be immediately at its border, Russian border, and then there will be a threat, and there may not be the free movement of Russian people and Russian trade via Black Sea. So Russia feels its influence on Ukraine will decline, and if Ukraine joins NATO, then it will be challenged and could be a serious security concern. Most of its exports of petrol and gas passes through Eastern European countries, that is Finland, Sweden, Estonia, etc. And a NATO influence will badly impact its trade with other countries. That's what Russian concern is. It feels America along with NATO allies trying to corner it. And it also feels due to its China proximity, it is being targeted by West, because now Russia is a little closer to China. So it feels because of its closeness with China, Western powers, especially America, led by America, other countries like UK, France, Germany. Russia is under US sanction due to its Crimea annexation, which it did on 27th February 2015. Next, please. Now, what is Russia's demand? So, to ease out tension, there had been a lot of diplomatic talks going on between Russia, America, and European Union. And Russia has put forth certain demands that if this demand is not met, then they will take military action against Ukraine. So what are those demands? So Russia has put forward a highly contentious list of security guarantees. Those demands are really obnoxious, and it may not be possible for any country to accept it. So let's see what are those demands. The demand include a ban on Ukraine's entering NATO, and a limit to the deployment of troops and weapons to NATO's eastern flank. So that is what Russia says, that Ukraine should not be allowed in EU or NATO, and the NATO should not have forces on the eastern areas bordering Russia. Now the question is how Russia can talk about Ukraine. Ukraine is a free country. That is what America's, France, and German position is, that Ukraine is a free country. If they want to join EU or if they want to join NATO, it should be allowed. But Russians says Ukraine's joining EU or NATO is a security threat. So that is what is a little absurd from the American point of view. Next, what Russia wants is NATO should remove any troops or weapons deployed to countries that entered the NATO alliance after 1997. So after 1997, till 1997, close to 24, 25 NATO allies were there. After that, 6 countries, smaller countries like Romania, Lithuania, Hungary, Latvia, Poland, all these smaller countries, Finland and all, Sweden and all, they have joined. So it says that after 1997, whichever countries have joined part of NATO, you remove forces from those areas after 1997 deployment. which would include much of Eastern Europe, including Poland and former Soviet countries of Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, and Balkan countries. So if Russia's demand is met, then NATO has to remove all these forces from these tiny countries, and then these countries will be skeptical to some sort of terrorism attack or even from the Russian attacks. Vladimir Putin has also demanded that the West provide Russia legal guarantees of its security. Means anything happens to Russia, then EU and NATO will be responsible. That's what he wants. But the Kremlin's aggressive proposals are likely to be rejected in Western capital as an attempt to formalize a new Russian sphere of influence over Eastern Europe. So already America has responded in writing against these demands which Russians have made. And the press secretary of Capitol Hill in yesterday's briefing said, like, we have outrightly rejected all the demands which Russia has put forth. Next slide, please. So this is what is the demand of Russia. NATO expansion, if you see, the blue color is the NATO member countries and the green color is seeking to join NATO. So you can see Ukraine and Croatia and Albania, all these countries are interested to join. Georgia. These are all earlier part of Russian Federation, USSR. Now they are interested to join NATO, and that is the concern of Russia. And some of the NATO expansion, if you see, Norway, Iceland, Denmark, Poland, Czech Republic. So these are the areas NATO has expanded after 1997. And Russia wants it to be withdrawn to feel secure. So that is the point of contention. Next, please. So NATO must rule out further expansion. That is what Russia wants, including the accession of Ukraine into the alliance. And it does not hold drills without previous agreement from Russia in Ukraine, Eastern Europe, in Caucasus countries such as Georgia or in Central Asia. So Russian demand is this also, like, NATO must rule out further expansion and it should not conduct any military drill without the permission of Russia. And NATO has rejected the demand from Russian Federation, and USA has categorically said no discussion about Ukraine in NATO without Ukraine in the talk. So it's happening like Russia and America and other Western power and NATO powers are discussing about Ukraine, and Ukraine is not in the discussions anywhere. So that's what American position is. We are talking about Ukraine, so Ukraine must be part of the discussion, and if Ukraine wants to join, it should be allowed to join as part of the democratic process. Next, please. So war and its likely fallout. So will there be a war between Russia and Ukraine? No one knows, because situation as on today, a lot of war games have happened. Russians have mobilized close to 1 lakh plus armed personnel along with fighter jets and infantry and artillery divisions. And from all corners, they are going direct via Crimea, and then they are going via Donbass region, and then they have entered into Belarus. From the northern side, they are entering. So they have almost encircled Ukraine, and there is a possibility that a war may be there. But if war happens, then already Joe Biden, the US president, has come out very categorical that if there is a misadventure from Russia, then it will be a game changer event in 21st century. And he was of the opinion that Russia will suffer for life the way Germany suffered for next 15-20 years. And they are already lining up huge economic sanctions, and there could be a military response also from NATO in case things goes out of hand. So there is a huge stake involved for the world peace, and for the economies and the trade. And in that particular war, lot of gas from Russia to Germany goes via those reasons. So Germany is scared, like if war breaks out, then German will get affected because of the energy issues. So most of the factories in Germany which runs on Russian gas, that will also come to a standstill. So there is a huge implications of situation. So everyone is trying diplomacy as the way out. And next slide, please. What is India's position, response, and way forward? So what we see here is India has been very neutral, not making any statement, not making any comment. In fact, it has not been part of any discussions. And the other day, there was a question to the foreign ministry briefing, like why India is not taking any position. So everyone was saying, Begane Shadi mein Abdullah Diwana Kai ko hona, that is none of our business. It's a Central Asian concern. And NATO, EU, and Russia is involved in the whole discussions. India has no position, no stakes to play. So therefore, India has been very neutral, and rightly so, because India's stakes are involved in Ukraine, America, European Union, and Russia. So it's difficult for India to take sides. So that is the reason they are in a position. And what is the way forward? India is trying through its diplomacy to ease out tension and reduce military conflict scenario. So therefore, it is using its officers, Narendra Modi and other high officials. They are having discussions with Americans, European Unions, and Russian leaders to diffuse the tension. So India is basically working on a peacemaker party rather than directly or indirectly involved in settling things. So that is the position as on today. So maybe after 15 to 20 days, situation will be clear, like how this Ukrainian crisis will be resolved. So this was not a discussion point. Actually, I thought of letting you be aware of this important international development which is happening in the world, and which is likely to affect world economy and world peace. So I hope you have learned something on this. Thank you, all of you, and let's move forward. Thank you. Any questions? I would be ready to answer if you have. Any questions? Sanath, do you have any question?
Sir, why everyone are fearing for Russia, sir? It is only a single country, and with on US side, we have many countries and very heavy machinery and military hardware and technology. Why it is only fearing to Russia then?
Wonderful, very good question. So Sanath, you know Russia is not a democracy.
Yes, sir. It's a communist country.
It's authoritarian regime, just like China. It's not a democracy, right?
Yes, sir.
So Vladimir Putin, who is the president of Russia, is ruling Russia with iron hand. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's not ruling by the will of the people.
Yes, sir.
So imagine a scenario do you live in Hyderabad?
Yes, sir. I live in Hyderabad.
Which area?
Koppal, sir.
So imagine a mad guy, a lunatic person with both hands filled with stones or big bricks or stones. He comes to your area. And
Okay,
he's throwing those stones on anybody and everybody. So what people do basically, they will try to save themselves, right?
Yes, sir.
They will try to hide themselves. They will try to protect their cars. And no, they will take their kids inside the house. Pagal aa gaya, that bad boy has come, the bad guy has come. Got my point?
Yes, sir.
So Russian situation is like that, wherein it has become a little uncivilized country, and especially after taking over Crimea, the whole world is treating it as a pariah. It was part of G8 groups, but it was thrown by Trump. Russia was thrown out of G8 groups because of its misadventure in Crimea in 2015, illegally occupying a Ukrainian land. And then Russians are not following international laws as they are supposed to, and they are actively involved in lot of cyber crimes in American industries and countries. They are trying to hack a lot of technology and other things from America and other countries like France and Germany. So it has become a kind of indisciplined guy, right? So, and its action has been going on for quite some time, but now America has decided, and it realizes, it thinks like now is the time to actually tighten the Vladimir Putin's neck on Ukrainian issues.
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
The world is fearing because they feel that Russia has an atomic weapon, it's a military power, so it can do a lot of destruction. So that's why they are trying hard and negotiating with diplomacy to piece Russia down. But then America has realized now that the time has come to take a bold step against Russia and cut it into size, because it's not a democracy, so it will never behave in a civilized way. Yeah. Any other question?
Yes, sir. Completed, sir. My doubt is clear now. Thank you so much, sir, for presenting such a wonderful information and making us aware about what's happening outside the country. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now I invite Professor our PC, Professor Pranita Mudolkar, to give her announcement from PCO desk. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience caused. We'll give her later, and we'll proceed with Dharmendra sir now. So I invite. Okay, ma'am, you can proceed.
Yeah. Thank you. So good morning, everyone. It's good to see you once again on Monday morning. Here are announcements from Program Coordination Office. To start with the semester third, that is PGDM 2022 class, academic sessions are coming to an end by this 5th of February, by this weekend. And after that, the seed program is scheduled from 7th February to 12th February, in which the business simulation game called Boardroom would be conducted. And if any left cap activities can also be completed in this 1 week period. And coming to the consolidation attendance of third semester candidates, the semester eligibility list is ready to be sent to exam branch, and an email is sent to all the students for submission of the documentary proof in case of any medical or any other emergency leaves. And the PCO has received quite a few requests from students, and that would be considered for their grace attendance. And that is for semester 3, and starting with semester 1, that is PGDM 21-23 class. So here comes section A and B's week 11 is in progress, and section C has entered into week 3. And the sessions are going uninterruptedly. And here is the course called, the non-credit course called IEBE, that is Indian Ethos and Business Ethics. The course sessions have started from last week onwards. And here to announce you, all the IEBE sessions would be conducted on virtual mode, even though the students would be coming to the campus, considering the guest resource faculty's availability. And in this regard, I instruct all the students to complete the given assignments The session was assignments within the deadline to gain good grades. And then coming to the almanac of semester A, B, C. So the last week is considered for the business simulation, game conduction, that is in the areas of marketing and finance, that is from 21st February to 26th February, which is considered to be preparatory time for section A and B, and continuous session for section C, but this would be considered for business simulation. And then this is for semester 1, and then coming to the new Vandana team would be taking over from 7th February onwards. So I wish all the best to the new Vandana team. I hope you would make noteworthy changes and process improvement in the Vandana. And here coming to the Hyderabad Literary Festival, which is a part of a literary club activity, the annual activity. This time Hyderabad Literary Festival is conducted from 28th to 30th January, and 8 students from semester 1 have already took part in this by formally registering, and I would request the literary club head, Professor Pushpalata, to prepare them for the presentation with all the learnings from this HLF to be presented in next Vandana session, probably for 10 minutes tenure, and the Vandana team can please give them a slot so that the whole experience can be shared with the PGDM faculty and students. That's it from PC Word Desk. Stay safe and please maintain all the corona norms, the social distancing and all. Thank you so much and have a great week ahead.
Thank you so much, Professor. Now I invite placement head, Mr. Dharmendra Gogikar, to give the announcements.
Thank you, Sanath. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you can proceed.
Yeah. Good morning to one and all. I'm here with some exciting news for all of us from the placement desk to celebrate this morning. To begin with, final placement process 32 was conducted by one of the leading providers of ESG data, delivering essential intelligence that unlocks opportunity and fosters growth by providing transparent and independent ratings, benchmarks, analytics, data research, commentary, and ESG solutions. Headquartered at New York, United States, with over 70 offices in 35 countries and strength of more than 22,000 employees working across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, the company is S&P Global. 14 students registered for the final placement process. 4 students cleared the online assessment. And finally, 1 student from PGDM class 2022 cleared the operations and the final HR round of interview. And the select is Miss Maharaju Ashwini. Please give her a huge round of applause for backing this exciting opportunity at S&P Global as Data Researcher 1. Many congratulations, Miss Maharaju Ashwini, for your exemplary performance during the interviews and bagging this wonderful opportunity at S&P Global. Final placement process 40 was conducted on 18 January 2022 by ICICI Securities Limited, a subsidiary of ICICI Bank Limited, 150 plus branches across India and 15,200 plus business partners. 10 students registered for the final placement process. 4 students were eligible to attend the interviews. Finally, 1 student from PGDM class 2020-22 has bagged this wonderful opportunity at ICICI Securities Private Limited as the relationship manager with her exemplary performance during the interview process. And the select is Miss V. Shushma. Miss V. Shushma, many congratulations on your success and we wish you a great career ahead. Moving ahead, final placement process 47 was conducted on 24th January 2022 by the comprehensive global leader of cloud-based human capital management solutions and business process outsourcing services, analytics, and compliance expertise company headquartered at Roseland, New Jersey, United States, with close to 60,000 employees working across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, the company is ADP. 5 students were eligible for the selection process. All these 5 students were allocated with the case studies at level 1 and level 2 for the presentations. After the stringent selection process, during the case study presentations, only 1 student could make it into the final interview. And finally, she bagged this dream offer as an associate HR talent acquisition at ADP with a package of 6 lakhs per annum plus 50,000 joining bonus. Ladies and gentlemen, the selected student is Miss Sirimalle Soundarya from PGDM class 2020-22. Please give her a huge round of applause. Many congratulations, Sirimalle Soundarya, for your marvelous achievement and bagging this wonderful opportunity at ADP. Dear students, campus recruitment trends are changing very drastically. Companies are now seeking your capability demonstration rather than conducting a series of interviews. They want to see you in action during the selection process by giving you case studies, field works, real-time assignments, application-oriented scenarios during the selection process. Campus recruitment has seen a paradigm shift in last 2-3 years, making it imperative for all of you to actively participate in all the corporate learning activities or competitions like case studies, fieldwork, internships, etc., and gain the capabilities which you can demonstrate during your campus interviews. Now I would request our Honorable Director, Dr. Bharat Bhushan Singh, to throw some light on this with his valuable insights on how students can cope up to these changing trends of campus recruitment. Sir, may I request your views on this?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, so first of all, congratulations, CCM team and all those students who have bagged the campus placement from the dream organizations. Now, what Mr. Dhamender is mentioning, and I would like to underline those points, are gone are the days when you guys have a grade from the campus and you boast about those grades, and then you get hired by the companies through some process or interview process. I'm not belittling your grades. Grades still remains very, very important because that is the entry points for you to be eligible to sit for any interviews. But beyond your grades, companies are interested to know your capabilities while you will be hired at the job. I'll give you an example. Like, for example, if there is some business challenge comes or some management challenge comes or some sales issues arises, they would like to hear from you your responses. So to further supplement my point, I would like to refer my discussion with the junior class, especially section A and B, about a case study. Last class, I was teaching about pricing strategies, and I gave them a case study of, it was 2016 and 17, Royal Challenger Bangalore was trying to strategize on pricing for the ticket pricing in Chinnaswamy Stadium, Bangalore. So a case study was given, and the case study was a wonderful case study, 17-page case study. And then there was a dilemma and problem at the end of the case study, and students were expected to find their opinion, their responses to those dilemmas and questions. So after teaching that pricing strategies and discussing the case, When I started asking questions from the students, I was surprised to know many of the students said, I don't know. So guys, tomorrow when you sit in a placement and they will give you a scenario and you will have to answer your series of actions which you feel will be prudent to solve the problem. You cannot just say, I don't know. Because you are not training for a clerical job, you are training for executive role, and your entire activities will be strategic in nature. And any problems which arises in organization does not have a copybook solution. No manual says like, if this happens, then you do this. If this happens, you do this. Like some of you will be working on corporate sales. Some of you will be working on institutional sales. Some of you will be B2B or B2C. Every customer is different. Every deal is different. Every challenge is different. How are you going to face it? And what you will do when a corporate client is not responding, or a client almost ready to give you a check, but now he withdrew, is not ready to now buy your product. What are you going to do? So my suggestions to all the students to please take these case studies very seriously, because now onwards, most of the hirings will happen through case studies only. We have seen what Mr. Dharmender was referring to. Most of the organization like Siram Bioseed, ITC, you name, everyone is first giving you a case study, go through it and give what you will do. Give your responses, what you will do. So that is what he is meant by when he's saying that they want you to demonstrate your capability rather than just you are showing what your academic capabilities are. So academic capabilities are like you are having the skill and you are having the knowledge now. Now, how are you going to perform in the field when situation arises? So this is my message to all the students, that your concept learning, your subject learning is fundamental, but your ability to respond to a situation, your ability to grasp the situation and accordingly formulate a strategic a response to any situation is what is expected by most of the companies. So work on it, take your case studies seriously and discuss it and take part in it so that you can actually sharpen your skill with reference to your strategic initiatives and decision-making capabilities as an executive under training. So I hope I have made my point. Over to you, CCM department. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your views and insights, sir. And I hope students have understood it, and they'll do, their level best in coming interviews and secure a wonderful placement. Those who are yet to be placed. Thank you so much. So that's all from placement desk. Once again, I congratulate all the placed students, and thank you so much. Have a great week ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Dharmender, for such announcements, and Director sir will make ensure that will inculcate the principles set by you into our schedule. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Now I invite Mr. Dr. Bharat Bhushan Singh to give the director's note.
Okay. So once again, good morning, everyone. I have a couple of points to make today. So a great learning from all of you. I really thank Professor Ashok for enlightening us with the wonderful presentation on India today and India 2047. So we have learned a lot, and I hope my students also have learned a lot. Ashok sir, I request you to please share your PPTs in the group so that we can go through it and further strengthen our learnings. Next is there is still some scope to improve on presentations, especially those who are presenting international business news, national business news, and contemporary business news. So I think there is a little bit of confusion in what falls into contemporary business news and what falls into international business news and national business news. So I request the faculty in charge to kindly brief the students so that they pick up the topic well. In the last discussion also, I said, if you are presenting a business news, minimum 5 business news you have to pick up. But many of you are missing out wonderful news which are there in the country and abroad. Similarly, coming to contemporary news, today there were 3 news items presented in contemporary business news. I don't think the person has understood the idea behind contemporary news. So contemporary news is something that should be presented, which is very special in nature, very unique in nature, which is never heard of kind of news. So we'll come out with the guidelines. And Pranita madam, are you there? Pranita madam, are you there? Okay, fine. So no problem. I'll have a discussion with the faculty team, and we will come out with some further guidelines on this so that students can improve upon and take this presentation to the next level. I wish everyone all the best. College is reopening. I request all, I advise all, and I instruct all to be very watchful about COVID and Omicron. But don't stop doing your work, because threat will always be there. Risk is always there. Life is all about risk. So we cannot sit at home and destroy our economy and our life. So when you come out, be very careful. And let's begin our campus maybe from tomorrow. All the best to everyone. Have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, okay, sir, I have a small doubt regarding this contemporary news.
Yeah.
Can we put that IS cadre rules in contemporary news, sir?
No, we will come out with a very comprehensive input for all of you. So don't worry about it.
Okay, sir, we'll be waiting for your guidance. Thank you so much.
All right. All right.
We have one more announcement to share with you all. Today, when Miss Vanilla from batch 2021-23 is celebrating her birthday. So on behalf of Vishwani, I wish you a very happy birthday, Miss Vanilla, and I wish your dreams and wishes come true and have a great year ahead. Enjoy your day. So I request everyone to raise for the national anthem now. Jana Gana Mana Adinayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindhu Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Banga Vindhya Himachala Jamuna Ganga Uchchala Jaladi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashisha Mage Gaye Tava Jaya Gada Janagana Mangala Dayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidhata Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He. Thank you. Have a great week ahead. Thank you so much.